What is going on, Buff Nation? Welcome back to another video. We got some good news from guys coming off the injury report. We're going to talk about that. Then there was a little bit of a clip that went viral of Coach Prime kind of ripping into the guys after the games on Saturday, which is great when we see them, but we sometimes are out of context. So somebody asked about it. Coach Prime gave us an answer. And then we have an iconic matchup happening this weekend. 1-versus-1, essentially. Arguably the best wide receiver in the country, not named Travis Hunter, and the best cornerback in the country, named Travis Hunter. We'll talk about that. Coach Prime addresses it and kind of how he used to get hyped up for these big-time moments. It's going to be juicy. The show, of course, is brought to you by BetUS. Roll the drill. I flushed my juice down in the club. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Hey. We're back in action. Thank goodness. I couldn't do another week without the squad being on the football field. Travis Hunter, Will Shepard, Jimmy Horn, all set to be good and ready to rock and roll this Saturday against Arizona. 10:15 kickoff, I believe, Eastern Standard Time. Golly, can we get an early one, please? Please, I'm begging you. Not yet. I think Cincinnati's set for 10:15 too. So buckle up. It's going to be a late couple of weekends, and we're all here for. Look, we were excited for these moments, but these are huge returns back to this staff. Look, we saw, and I talked about it in the recap of this game last week, missing these three players was massive on the offense. You could just look like the tempo wasn't there. The timing was off a little bit, and guys are playing catch-up. It looked similar to that Colorado team of last year, where Shador's kind of looking around, holding on to the ball too long. He was credited for his reasoning for the sacks were him holding on to the ball too long. You saw some clips of him and Coach Prime getting into her. Coach like, just throw the ball away, right? Just hanging on, trying to make a play, trying to make something happen. And again, a lot of that has to do with timing and tempo. And to that timing and tempo and hanging on to the football, when we break down the Arizona game versus Colorado in a couple of days, I'm going to kind of mention that as well. So kind of keep that in the back of your head if you guys continue to follow along and stay tuned with the content. Next up, there was a clip that went viral, I guess you can say. Not viral, but it was out there. People were looking at it, of him ripping into the team during practice. And his frustration was guys kind of just lollygagging around. Now, typically the practice after the game, the guys that take 60% of the snaps rest. They get an easy day, a chill day. The guys that are secondary, they're the ones that play hard. And so that's where this stemmed from, is that those guys were resting and relaxing. And he kind of was like, look, we give up 6 sacks. We give up 250 yards rushing, bombs down the football field, big plays. He's kind of going on these guys. Why are we sitting? Why today are we resting? Right? And he makes a good point of, look, I understand we have this routine and this tempo that every time after a game we rest. But if we just absolutely play like utter dog water, then don't you think you probably should use an extra snap or two? You want to be a professional, you want to go to the pros and act like it. Again, I think what it speaks volumes, again, it's just that mentality of what he's trying to instill of, like, you should want to come in after the performance and play better. I understand you're tired. I understand that you're hurt and whatnot, but you should want more reps. You should be jumping at the opportunity to get better, to be hungry, so this doesn't happen again next week. And again, it's just a mentality. You have to, as a professional, you have to hold yourself to that standard. I shouldn't have to walk in here and say, hey guys, you're going to be rocking and rolling today because we played like crap Saturday. No, I should walk in here and you guys are like hustling and bustling because we played like crap on Saturday. And that's kind of where it stemmed from. And look, I loved it. I appreciate it. I'm thankful for the guy asking the question, because we see these things. And you always wonder, because again, there's always just a minute or 6-second clip of him just yelling. And you're like, well, are they supposed to be sitting? They're not supposed to be sitting? We have questions. So I was glad that he responded to that. The other thing that I said, or quote that he said that I loved, he says, they get intoxicated with winning, and you think you like that. So what happened is, since he said, look, it's kind of, you never want to lose, but sometimes you kind of get intoxicated and you feel like this winning thing is just part of the norm. It's what we're supposed to do. You get high off of it, and you're not in reality of, like, you still have to go and earn it. So this loss here was a good reality check for us to bounce back. Now, I do want to play this clip where somebody asked him, hey, how did you get hype when you had to guard someone like a Jerry Rice or a big-time wide receiver? What would you do? Because we're talking about Travis Hunter McMillan, one of the top wide receivers in the game right now, with 742 yards receiving, on pace for 1,500-plus receiving yards to beat what he did last year at 1,400. But here's what he had to say about it. And I don't think people can just comprehend what he's trying to say, but I love it. Take a listen.
Mentioned McMillan, the receiver. He's obviously one of the best in the country.
Yes.
As a corner, how much did you get kind of amped up when you were going against like the elite receivers? And
that was my life.
Yeah.
I didn't have to get amped up. That was my life.
So did you get like going against Jerry Rice, things like that?
That was my life.
Okay.
You don't get amped up when that's your life. It's like saying you get amped up to get in the car. I'm gonna do that anyway, to come to work. That's my life.
I love it. Look, I think some people are like, what? And it's that mentality. What do you mean get hyped up? And look, if you're not living that world, if you don't understand that, that's why we as the peers ask these questions, because we don't live that life. So we get excited for it. We get hyped up about it because that's how we live. But people that are living in the moment, I'm living this life. I don't have the opportunity like to get hyped for what? Like he said, I think he knows it perfectly. And I mean, this is the exact same thing, but I was making a thumbnail last night and the wife was like, man, it's really incredible watching you make those things. And I just looked at her and go, this is my life. Not quite exactly, but like, it's like, I'm not impressed by it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is what you know what I mean? It's second nature at this point. So not quite the same as guarding Jerry Rice, right? But if we could get close, I think I'm like halfway there. Give me credit. Give me credit where credit's due. But this matchup is going to be one for the ages. I don't feel like we've had this excitement. I mean, maybe we have, and I just haven't noticed it, but I am beyond excited just for this quarterback wide receiver combo. Reminds me of what Shador and Travis were last year. Obviously, they're much better this year, but it was just the Travis and Shador show trying to make things happen with a few guys kind of poking through. But now this wide receiver core is obviously much more in depth. But this Arizona just live and die by these two guys, the quarterback and Noah Fafita and McMillan here. And to see what Travis Hunter, I mean, these guys, if he's going to be get open space, how can he get off from Travis Hunter? It's been a fantastic test. And to get him back onto that Heisman campaign. Going down last week definitely is going to create a factor into that. So we're going to need a big-time game from Travis Hunter to get back onto that Heisman choo-choo train, because missing games are never good when you're trying to win those things. So this is going to be one of the most exciting electric matchups that we will see. The size, the speed that McMillan, he could have went to the pro last year, came back for another year. They signed a massive NIL deal, him and the quarterback. So this is going to have some hype to it. They've dropped the last two. Arizona has. I like Colorado here by, I think, a touchdown or two, maybe 10 points. But should be going to watch. And the last little bit here, we kind of talked about this already, but a new prediction has dropped today from Chad Simmons. He's the director of recruiting. In a sense, kind of just doubling down what we've already been talking about, what we've already been hearing. The Indiana commit, or former Indiana commit, because he decommitted, the safety Byron Baldwin has now been crystal ball to Colorado. We've been talking about recruiting for the last 2 weeks, or two videos, about it heating up. And this young man wasn't mentioned in those two. We have talked about him, but just think about the last three that have visited. On top of him, he was part of that visits prior to that. Right, so these are the guys that are starting to heat up. And like I said, these visits seem to be very specific, very organized, and have a purpose. And they're having an impact because of that. And Byron Baldwin, it was part of one of those recruiting visits that they already had. So we'll continue to monitor that. I could see, because that crystal ball has now come through again. Maybe we'll see a commit over the next few days. Maybe we'll see a big-time commit after this Arizona game. But we will have the breakdown video where we break down the number and the stats. You guys seem to enjoy that, and I like that, and I do appreciate that. So if you guys continue to enjoy this type of content, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. This show is brought to you by BetUS, and we'll see you boys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.